Welcome back, Punkheads, to a brand new review. I'm AJ Punk 15, and continuing on with the Halloween series of reviews, I'm going to review Halloween H20 20 years later. Halloween H20 takes place 20 years later after the original two first films. It brings back the main character of the first two films, Laurie Strode, and the antagonist, Michael Myers. After the events of the original film / the second film, Laurie Strode changed her identity and had a child. She is now Carrie Tate and has a son named John Tate. The father isn't in the picture, but a lot of us assume that it's Jimmy from Halloween 2, who survives in the TV cut. Carrie / Laurie is the principal of this kind of prep school where her son is taking part in class. John, played by Josh Hartnett, and his three friends, most notably actress Michelle Williams and Jodie Lynn O'Keefe, are the main focus of victims in this film for Michael Myers. Right away in the very open scene, we get a monologue from Donald Pleasance. Unfortunately, Donald passed away before the making of this film, so they had to get a voice actor to come in and try to do his best to do it. In my opinion, I think it did a justice towards Donald's original speech in the first film. Myers tracks down the location of Loomis's house, which is now being taken care of by the nurse in the first film, which we see Loomis drive in to the Smiths Grove Sanitarium in the very first film. Michael Myers is looking for the whereabouts of Laurie Strode in Loomis's stash of stuff and memories of the past. So the caretaker of the house, the nurse from the original film, comes in, sees the house as it ramshacked, it's cluttered, everything is all over the place, and she runs out to the neighbors to call the phone, and the neighbors, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, go in to investigate. They die, then in turn the nurse dies, and then Michael finds out the whereabouts of Laurie, leading to the film Halloween H20. Michael Myers eventually finds his sister Laurie Strode at the boarding school under a new alias of Carrie Tate. Laurie also has a love interest in this film played by Adam Arkin, who Laurie used him as almost as a conduit to explain to the audience of what happened in her past. He was basically there for exposition, which worked in my opinion in this film. I think Josh Hartnett and Michelle Williams, of the four young cast members who are the main characters, are the standouts of this film. I think the romance on screen actually translates to the screen, and it certainly shows because they're probably the best two of the young actors in the film. There's a small role in this film played by LL Cool J, and unlike in Halloween Resurrection, this person, yes, it also is another black actor, does his job very, very well. He's there to bring the comedic moments, just like Busta Rhymes was. Whoever wrote the part for Busta Rhymes was on crack or something, because that just didn't make sense, whereas LL Cool J's role was actually there to bring some comedic relief. He was there to push the story forward in some cases. How can Michael get into this big boarding school? Well, LL Cool J eventually lets him in, which makes sense. He's a security guard on the door, so eventually he had to open it at some point. With this entire film, there were subtle hints that harkens back to the first original film. In fact, Jamie Lee Curtis's character Laurie, or Carrie, actually bumps into another principal at the school, who is actually Janet Leigh, Jamie Lee Curtis's real-life mother. And in doing so, in return, she gives the great speech that Sheriff Brackett gave in the original Halloween: I guess everybody's entitled to one good scare. There's a lot of these little subtle moments throughout the film that harken back to the original film, and I really enjoyed those. It hit me in the right spots. It brought back the feels of watching the first film. Durant played Michael Myers in this film. I thought he was pretty good. For the most part, he had the mannerisms down, and there were some scenes that felt a little off, especially when he's off in the distance walking towards the camera. Other than that, I thought he did a really good job. Now, the first mask, the main mask in this film, actually looks phenomenal. I think it actually looks pretty close to the original film's mask, but unfortunately, they opt out to use a CGI mask for a scene, which looks totally horrible. A very bad choice. It doesn't look right. It's on camera and you see it and you're like, whoa, why did you choose that? It's just really bad. I also used a secondary mask which kind of comes down over the bottom of the neck of Michael Myers, which to me didn't really look that great either, but the main mask of the film was great. One thing I really enjoyed about this film is they used some of the original score. Unlike a lot of the Halloween films, they tend to not have the original score. A lot of the latter films in the Halloween series, they kind of just use the one score of Michael Myers or the Halloween theme, whereas this one actually utilized some of the original score, but also had this weird 90s score that I think Scream 2 and a few other films have utilized in the 90s. Apparently there's an actual cut of this film where it's actually the original Halloween score put into Halloween H20. I have not seen this film for myself or this cut, but I really like to see it. I hope one day that will get released on Blu-ray, but for now we'll have to settle with the one we got in the box set or the Canadian releases. Steve Miner was the director of this film, and he's gone on to do a few other good horror films in recent years, and I actually thought he did a great direction on this film. Definitely captured the feel of Halloween, especially of the first and the second film. One scene in particular he directed where Laurie she gets her son out and she gets his son's girlfriend out. She just walks up through the parking lot of the school, up this hill, and it's all out in the open, and she just screams Michael, and it's absolutely phenomenal how the camera's really wide when she says it, and you get this beautiful view of Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode, holding this big fire axe, just saying, you know what, Michael, I'm coming for you this time. You're not going to fuck with me. I'm going to fuck with you. I was waiting for that Laurie Strode. I've been waiting for that Laurie to come on screen, and when you finally get to see it in this film, after watching so many of the original films, you're like, fuck yes, this is going to be awesome. It's going to be an awesome fight scene. It's going to be a lot of gore, blood, all that stuff that a lot of people enjoy in horror films, and it absolutely was. And in my personal opinion, it was probably the best final scene of a Halloween film. And not say enough about Jamie Lee Curtis. When she came back to do Halloween H20, she really wanted to put the nail in the coffin that was Halloween that got her start into a film, but she wanted to go out with a bang and do it right, and I absolutely think came to fuck things up and make a great horror film, and I definitely think this film is what she was going for. Thing I have to mention about this film is there is a build-up to the reveal of Michael Myers before he gets to the school. You see subtle hints of him here and there when he kills certain characters. You don't get to see a full-fledged Michael Myers reveal until you actually get to see him and Laurie face to face. And it's awesome. The scene in this film where it's a little circle on a door, like a lookout, and Laurie puts her face up there and then Michael's there. And it's absolutely great. It's one of the most iconic scenes in Halloween series, hands down, bar none. Overall, I absolutely love Halloween H20. I go back to it every Halloween. It definitely reminds me of my childhood, seeing it took place in the time that my childhood did. I was like 6, 7 years old when this movie came out, so it definitely hits me in the feels, so to speak, and I can't say enough about this film. I'm going to give Halloween H20 20 years later an 8 out of 10. It's a great horror film, it's a great Halloween film. If you have not checked it out, I highly recommend you do so. Guys, there's one more Halloween film knocked out of my Halloween series of reviews. Next up, my reviews will be Halloween 4, 5, and 6 in that order, because they're kind of different trilogy, because they were left out of this film. 5 and 6 were erased, and it was just 1 and 2 and H20. So next series reviews, I'm going to focus on the Thorn trilogy. Guys, that's it for this review. Leave your comments down below. I'm AJ Punk 15. Take care, stay frosty, and happy October.